Hello and welcome to Voices of Parenting podcast. I am so glad you're here. My name is Mussi Diskin. I am an advanced nurtured heart approach trainer. I am a parenting coach. I am also an inner wealth coach, which means that I help people rediscover and connect to the people that they truly were all along, but may have gotten forgotten along the way. So to find out more about me and what I offer, you can check out mussydiskin.com. I would love to connect and I would love to hear your feedback. Reach out to Energizing Hearts. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, everybody. I am so glad to be here with you all. It's been a while. I took a little break after having my baby, and I am back here today with Kathleen Friend, who is my friend, ironically enough. We actually were study partners back in the day. So you actually can access so much of Kathleen's wisdom already on this podcast. We had some conversations together and with some other guests like a while back. So go back, look back in those conversations in the archives, and you will find more of her. Kathleen is a child psychiatrist in Tucson, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll hear probably more about that in her story. But today we're going to focus on her personal story, which is exciting because, you know, how she got to Nurtured Heart and what that looked like for her, because I don't think we talked about that on this platform anyways, and we all love hearing stories. So Kathleen, I'm going to turn the mic over to you to just jump right in and tell us who you are and where you come from. Like, how did Nurtured Heart happen for you?
Oh, hi, Mussi. It's always so much fun to talk to you. We could talk about anything, and it would be enjoyable. And you know, when you said, "Well, why don't you just tell your nurtured heart approach story?" I thought, yeah, I never talk about that. So I had to do some reflection because it's been about 15, 16 years. So just to go back to the beginning, I I had I'm a mom. I have one child who is now an adult who's 31. And when I started this Nurtured Heart Approach journal, he was about 15, maybe 16. And was taking a walk with a friend of mine, and she told me that she was uh, doing two things. She told me about something called heart rhythm meditation, which is, I thought, that sounds really cool. Like working with the energy of your heart. I thought, wow, that sounds kind of neat. And you have to understand, I really trusted this person. So I thought, if she's interested in something, it's probably something pretty good. So I kind of took that under advisement. And then she told me about this thing called Nurtured Heart Approach because she was having some issues with her teenage son and she was hoping that it was going to help her. So I took a deep dive into both of those areas. And I also, at the time, my son was also a teenager and we were starting to, things were changing. And we were starting to get into, a little more, snarky and defiance and, disconnection. And, rationally and in my head, I knew he was doing his job. That's what they do developmentally. It's called individuation and separation. That's normal, that's healthy. But yet I was kind of floundering through it. And that's how it started.
Yeah, teenagers and defiance. I love that you can know it in your head, with all of your education and background, individuation, separation. It's normal, but yet when you're the mom, right, it just doesn't feel quite as comfortable as you would have imagined when it's your own kid who's sort of distancing themselves from you, besides the fact that having snarky comments and defiance is never fun or easy. So yeah, so talk us through sort of what happened for you when you started exploring the Nurtured Heart, and what was, I guess, what about it really stuck with you or made it stick?
Well, I know this is kind of superficial, but I just like the word heart. I'm going to be honest. I had wanted to be a cardiologist. And anyway, don't need to know my whole medical path, but I actually wanted to be a cardiologist. So the heart always interests me. So immediately this meditation on the heart and this approach, I thought, I'm in. I want to know about it. So I went to my first Nurtured Heart training. They call it a CTI. I participated. I was excited. I came home with some new ideas. But, I didn't feel like I got it. I have to say, some people go to CTIs and they go home and they start, it's miraculous and it goes. But my journey was like, there was something missing. I didn't quite get it. I was introduced to this idea of, looking for what's going right and calling out greatness, which is step two of the three steps of nurtured heart. And you know what? I was already pretty good at that. So that wasn't so new to me. And I felt that I had done that a lot with my child. But when I started to do it more consciously, with maybe a little more expanded emotional, juicy language, which we all need because most of us don't have that, it felt so inauthentic to him. And honestly, he just wanted to get away from me. He wanted to separate. He was not looking to get closer. In retrospect, I realized we had a very good, secure attachment. And he was like just trying to like move away. But at any rate, I did my.
But I love that you brought words to that because that's a lot. I know that a lot of people experience that, especially with their older kids, is when they get more emotionally and more sensitive kids, like the no BSers. They're like when they go on and on with these like emotionally nutritious words and all the greatness words and you are the greatness of perseverance and kindness and love and blah blah blah. And they're like, what did you do with our mother? Bring us back our mother. Like we don't like this at all, and it just backfires in more disconnect, like you're saying, which is so. Thanks for bringing voice to that. So I'm excited to hear how that didn't happen anymore, or what changed for you. How are you still here 16 years later?
Yeah, and it really didn't work. And I could not, if I tried to double down on it and, say the usual things. Oh, wow, that you're really perceptive. You notice I am doing something different. That's all fine and good. And that might be fine, but it didn't work with mine. I have a completely no BS kid, kid. I can't kid or him. I mean, okay. So what I really, and the other thing is then I tried to implement the reset and like I didn't feel comfortable with it. I didn't understand it. It was just like a word, like, so you just go reset and you turn away or anyway, I didn't get it. It felt clumsy to me. I found that I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it authentic. So really what happened over the years is that I learned really what a reset was. And I began to realize that that was one of the most powerful tools of all of Nurtured Heart for me and for my son. And that I learned, again, I'll just dive into my more professional life. I learned a lot more about the stress response, trauma response, and something called polyvagal theory. And the upshot of it is that we have part of our nervous system called the social engagement network. And honestly, things don't land. We talk in Nurtured Heart about did it land? Did it land in the heart? But that can't happen unless we're in that social engagement network. It's a physiologic thing. And so I realized that no connection was going to occur if I wasn't in that state. So I really had to learn to manage my own inner landscape and energy first to not leak negative energy. I couldn't it wasn't enough just to shut my mouth and not say negative things. I mean, that's one way, that's a great first step. If you can do nothing else, just close your mouth, don't say anything. But beyond that, I needed to figure out when I was in and out of my own social engagement network. Um, so we teach that as the step one, not to leak out get negative energy. But it just took me a long time to figure out that no matter how many positive affirmations I made, how much greatness, no matter how beautiful my language was, it wasn't going to have power unless I was really regulated in my own nervous system. And that opens the heart. So when you're in that state, that's when the wisdom of the heart can come through. And that's what we need, And so over time, I really had to back off and not try to manage what I considered as negativity coming from him. What happened over the years is it became so clear that literally he just wanted to be seen and heard. He didn't want me to do anything. He wanted me just to listen without reaction. So I used to resist that because I thought, well, he's doing a lot of complaining and venting. Now we're talking about now he's in his 20s. I don't need to manage his behavior. He's an adult. And I thought, gosh, he's complaining all the time. This is leaking negativity. And I wanted to fix it. Like I still had that, desire to like move him away from that. And I thought that I was giving energy to his negativity if I just listened.
Hmm.
But I realized that I needed to do that, and he needed for me to do that. And that it was only from that place where we were really together, not in some stress reaction, that any possibility for changing old patterns was going to happen. This is just my own journey with it. And so, I had to keep doing my own inner work to reset myself, to hear him, to see him, and for that to land. That's what needed to land for him. I initially I was trying to make nurtured heart work like a behavior technique, I think. Follow the 3 steps, don't leak negative energy, say yes and pay attention to what's going right. This is all important, of course. And I have real clarity. Where's the clarity between my yeses and the nos? But that the power of this approach is actually so much deeper, much deeper. I could give some examples of this. Would you
I would
like?
love that. I would love examples. I just want to reflect on one thing you said. It's sort of like a paraphrasing of what I heard you say. Is you started off with like, I didn't like this reset thing. It was like reset and like felt bad. But then the way you kind of re described it or redefined it was actually not at all about the other person. It's just turned into this whole other thing of actually, it's me regulating. It's me coming into my space where my heart is open so that I can be authentically here, so that I can see and hear the other person fully, so that they can experience being seen and heard, which is really all we wanted all along. I just love the way you put that out there. And so thank you for that. And yes, example sounds fantastic. Let's hear it.
Okay, so when my son was a teenager, I remember like, when he would be snarky, I kept thinking that one of my step threes was like, I don't want to be disrespected. I don't want disrespectful speech or whatever. So I found the words, don't be disrespectful on my lips a whole lot more than I care to admit. So my clarity was that, at that time, disrespectful words aren't okay. Over time, I changed. I just changed to this, and I did not make this up, but this is out there, this idea of connection over correction. Other people have said those words. And for me, I really had to land some of my step three there. That was such an important value to me. But having said that, I still occasionally have to set a boundary and a line, you know, because just an example, this summer I was playing tennis with him and he was grumbling about something and being critical of me. I don't remember, but he asked me a question. I don't remember the question, some question, and I answered it. But he kept going on and kind of grumbling and complaining. And it became clear that he was projecting, he was making these assumptions that I was thinking certain things or doing. And like in the past, I would have corrected him, like, I don't think that. Actually, no. And yet that always landed as, first of all, not seeing and hearing. He felt it registered as me being defensive, even if I was just trying to clarify my own experience. He would read that as not taking accountability, defensive, all those things. So what I did is I didn't correct anything. I did set a boundary. I said, he was going on and on. And finally I said, you asked me a question. I answered your question. End. And I think he went on and I answered your question. And it all stopped. We continued to play the game and there was no. So, I mean, I still occasionally have to like clarify, and maybe that's just a step three about me and my own needs, understanding my own limits and using that energy to reset myself back to my own inner wholeness and greatness. So It's really nuanced and complicated, this approach.
Well, what I hear in that is that you didn't do the song and dance, right? There wasn't this song and dance of why he shouldn't go on and what it means that he's going on and how he's not seeing you or he's not hearing you or a whole even like, no shaming, no blaming. It's just the clarity of this conversation's over, but no song and dance. And the song and dance is where that leakage comes in so much, that negativity leakage, which is like, I'm investing and this matters and I need to convince you and I need to teach you and I need to change you and I need to, where we don't do that in the negativity. We get out of the negativity as fast as we can in whatever way we can. We do all that teaching and all that investing and all that song and dancing around that was so respectful that you received my answer. Like I feel like you really heard me there, whatever, whenever that comes out. So that's what I really hear in this example is like you were able to hold your own because that feels you were able to really hold yourself as the adult in the situation because that him grumbling, I can't tell you how you felt, but I can tell you that if somebody is judging me or telling me how I feel and how what I'm saying and whatever, especially if it's not even if it's true, but especially if it's not true, that feels a whole lot of invisibility on my part of like I do get defensive. You're not hearing me, you're not seeing me, but to turn the tables and be like, reset me. What do I need right now? I need this conversation to be over. So we're just going to do that. We're just going to set clarity and not do this whole defensive, getting all emotionally involved in this because this is not what matters, right? Like that's that essential stand too is that's not what matters. What matters is us, that connection over the correction. I'm going to get back to that as soon as possible. So thank you. That's what I
Yeah,
hear.
it seems to work. I was very happy with that. And you're right. You really point out something because it does feel like when that happens, like that, just like he wants to be seen and heard, we all want to be seen and heard. So I did put aside that need and the thing is I could. I realized like, you know what? I'm not seen right now properly. But okay, I'm not going to fix that. That nothing I say is really going to change that. So let's just move on and just end the conversation needs to stop because I'm here to play tennis and let's just get on with it. And like the truth is that my guess is that felt good to him. My guess is that felt good to him too because he was there to play tennis and it's so easy with a child and especially an adult child to start going down the rabbit hole of old patterns and he was starting to get spin. He was spinning himself in it. And it's hard to stop that as you get older. It just happens so quickly before you know it. So I suspect there was a little part of him that was happy, like, glad that's over. Let's get back to the game.
Totally. And that really is a testament to all the work you've done, which in a minute I'm going to ask you to tell people about what you offer. And I know it's going to come up there, but that testament to your own work to be able to maintain your regulation, to be able to recognize his dysregulation and allow it to just be a moment of let's move on with that sort of clear compassion, like over this is not going anywhere. I'm not teaching you anything right now. We're not getting anywhere, but clarity, but compassionate with that awareness that he's spinning right now. Because when I'm spinning in me, I can't see you're spinning. I'm the victim here. You need to stop spinning, even if you're 2 or 5 or 8, like let alone an adult child. So I think that's a real testament to the work you've done, Kathleen, that you were able to hold your own and really be that person there. And we're going to have more conversations. We're coming close to the end of this recording. There probably will be a part 2 to this, people who are listening. So hang in there, stay tuned. But Kathleen, I want to ask you a question. If you were to go back to the Kathleen before the CTI, or at the CTI or right after the CTI, now, knowing what you know now, knowing what you know about your son, knowing what you know about Nurtured Heart, what would you want to tell yourself? What would you want that Kathleen to hear?
Oh my. Well, the first thing is that how much I appreciate that you didn't give up, that you were doing the best you could under the circumstances. And I kind of wish you had my older, more experienced self to whisper in your ear to give you the wisdom that I think I found some wisdom. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own the greatness of acquiring some wisdom throughout this process. And I just want to tell her that I'm really glad you stumbled. In a way, I'm glad you stumbled because you learned so much through those stumblings and you didn't give up. And you're not the only one who stumbles. And maybe some of the things I learned through that stumbling is going to help somebody else.
Oh, I love that compassion, Kathleen. That's so sweet. I'm sending that to younger Kathleen and also to all of us out there who are stumbling right now, still, and we're all always still stumbling in some levels, but that compassion of like, your stumble means you're learning, and there's no way to learn how to walk without falling when you're little, right? There's no way to learn anything without some stumble, and the stumble hopefully leads to deeper lessons and more wisdom. So, Kathleen, if people want to find you and they want to hear more from you or about you, what can they expect? Where can they find you? And what do you offer?
Okay, well, I'm in the process of rebuilding all my old websites. I'm launching an integrative psychiatry practice in Arizona and Colorado, based on actually not nurtured heart. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's basically functional medicine, but I also offer parent coaching, related to a nurtured heart approach, and also my greatness chair solution adaptation of nurtured heart approach, which I wrote about in one of my books called The Greatness Chair Solution. And I think we'll talk about that at the next podcast. But the way you could reach me, probably the best thing to do right now is just to Google my name, Kathleen Friend, MD, and Google's going to bring up a whole bunch of stuff. My website is right now the easiest would be just drfriend.net, drfriend.net. I have about 5 different domains, but they're all going to point to the same place. And my new website should be up by the end of September of 2025. So my books are on Amazon. Just put my name in and we'll talk about it in another podcast.
Yes. Well, thank you. And I am sure that many people are taking wonderful nuggets away from here in their own stories. So thank you for sharing your story with us. Hey, wait, don't go yet. Take a minute to find the beautiful quality that you have, that you appreciate about yourself.